Hey guys, we're gonna talk about quadratic function today. You have learned linear equation, which looks like a line, y equals x graph. You might remember how it looks like. So a line graph. And then at the beginning of school year, we talked about absolute value function. Absolute value function makes all x's positive numbers. So absolute value function looks like, do you guys remember? You might remember, you might not. So from the same y equals x function, you wanna stay positive, so that's why it's a v-shaped function. And then now we are learning about quadratic function. So linear function, your x's power is 1, but quadratic function, your power is 2. And the shape, when you try to draw it, it looks like U shape. So we're gonna try to actually graph them by hand later, but before doing that, I want you to look at two examples of quadratic function given here using Desmos calculator. So before using Desmos calculator, let me write down the standard form of a quadratic equation. You can take a note with me. So as an example, I drew y equals x squared earlier. So this case, your a value is 1, and then you don't have any bx terms, so your b value is 0, and also no constant, so your c is 0. But your graph could be more complicated, like these two equations. And I wanna define this a's name. This is called leading coefficient. So in standard form, you always wanna write highest exponent first, and coefficient of that highest exponent variable is called leading coefficient. So the first graph, when you look at the equation, this first one, your a value is 1. Second graph, your a value is -1. So now, without further ado, I'm gonna bring out Desmos calculator, and then we're gonna try to graph those two equations. So you guys can pull out your Desmos with me, and then you can type in what we had before. Let me bring up x squared plus 2x minus 5 first. X squared plus 2x minus 5, which looks like this. And then second, the other graph that we had was minus x squared plus 3x plus 7. So the first graph, the red one, when your a value is 1, your graph looks like U shape, right? As we talked about. So your graph looks like this. But when your graph, the second graph shape is upside down. So let me change this to red one to match our picture. So this is a red graph, and then the second graph, the shape is like this. So difference between these two equations, your a value is positive, and then the second graph, your a value is negative. So when your a value is positive, your left and right end is pointing up, right? Pointing up. And then your a value is negative, then your graph's left and right side is pointing down. So remember, if your leading coefficient is positive, it's gonna be U-shape, and it's negative, it's gonna be upside down. And then I'd like to go back to our original paper. Here, and then one more thing that I'm gonna talk about is we need to take a note here, axis of symmetry. So we all know what symmetry means, right? So when you have a graph, for example, like let's go back to Desmos calculator. So here, and then I'm gonna just look at one graph. So I'm gonna get rid of blue one, and I'm gonna look at just red graph. And then I'm just gonna pinpoint one point, which is this. This is called vertex. So we did talk about vertex when we are learning about absolute value function, and also U-shaped graph has a vertex, which is gonna be the very bottom of the graph, or sometimes it could be when your graph is upside down, it could be top of your graph. These ones called, this is minimum, and of course this is maximum because it's the top of the graph. And when you have a vertex, we can draw a line that goes through that vertex point, and this line is called line of symmetry. So as the vocabulary explains itself, symmetry, the line of symmetry or axis of symmetry, using this line, if you fold your graph vertically, it's gonna be exactly the same shape. So one side, this side, is exactly same as the other side. So that means this line is line of symmetry or axis of symmetry. And so I'm gonna write this line is your x value is -1, so this line equation is x equals -1. And there is a space that we need to write down its formula. It says, so I'm gonna go back to the paper and then I want you to write the formula. So the formula is x equals -b over 2a. So using this formula, we can find the line of symmetry. So let me show you if it really is line of symmetry. So here, let's define ABC first. So this equation was y equals x squared plus 2x minus 5. And I said the line of symmetry is y equals -b over 2a. And this is standard form. We talked about standard form. So your a value is 1, and your b value is 2, and your c value is -5. So, let me change this. So line of symmetry is actually x equals, not y equals. X equals -b over 2a. And I'm going to plug in a, b, c values that we found here. So b is 2. So I'm replacing b with 2. And then a is 1, right? So 2 times 1. So I have -1. So that's why this line equation is x equals -1. So without using Desmos calculator, we can find out the axis of symmetry. So that's why it's remember this formula. So I know that this might be confusing because we are going back and forth, but I'm gonna go back to our original paper and then continue the other examples. So there are 4 graphs here. I want you to stop the video and then do it yourself. You need to find whether this graph is minimum or maximum. And you have to find axis of symmetry and vertex. Oh, actually one more thing. I haven't talked about vertex. So I'm gonna go back to our original, the Desmos graph calculator one more time. So let's go back. Sorry guys. So here we were able to use a line of symmetry equation to find line of symmetry, but vertex is, we need to find vertex point also. So line of symmetry was x equals -b over 2a. Let's focus guys. It's not gonna take so long. So this x value is -b over 2a. To find corresponding y, you need to plug in -b over 2a for x to find its y value. So we need to do y of -b over 2a. So because of this all of these alphabets, maybe you could get confused, but just follow me. It's not very complicated. So again, in this equation, we have a value 1, b value 2. So we were able to plug in a, b value. So we have 2 over 2 times 1. So we have minus 1 for x. So this is minus 1. And we want to plug in this f of x equation. This is your f of x. We want to plug in negative 1 here. So we're trying to calculate f of negative 1. And our f of x is x squared plus 2x minus 5. So f of minus 1 equals minus 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1 minus 5. This is 1 minus 2 minus 5. So you have minus 6. So this vertex point, your x value is minus 1. This is your y value. So its y value is minus 6. Okay? So I want you to find this vertex and then line of symmetry for the next 4 examples. So let's go back to our paper here. So first, you need to know what is a, b value in this equation. So using this standard form, your a equals 4. And this one, it doesn't have x term, so your b value is 0. So using vertex formula, line of axis of symmetry formula, it's x equals negative 0 over 2 times 4. Right? I'm using this formula. Then my x equals 0. And then my vertex, you have to write down your vertex also. So vertex formula is minus b over 2a for x. Your y value is y of minus b over 2a. So my vertex is, my x value is 0. So I put 0, comma, and then I'm plugging in my f of x equation. So I'm trying to get f of 0. So this is gonna be 4 times 0 squared. So it's also 0. So my vertex is 0, comma, 0. And then look at my leading coefficient 4. It's a positive number. So my graph shape is gonna be left and right pointing up. So I'll have this minimum point. So my vertex is minimum. Then now you need to move on to the next problem to get axis of symmetry and vertex. And then let me give you this notes one more time. Axis of symmetry is x equals negative b over 2a. Your vertex is negative b over 2a, comma, f of negative b over 2a. So do the same thing. You need to define a and b in your equation. Your a value is negative 1. Your b value is 6. So I'm calculating my axis of symmetry. X equals negative. B is 6. So 6 over 2 times negative 1. So this is negative 3. And then once I find my x value of the vertex, minus 3. And then I need to do f of minus 3. So in my f of x equation, I'm going to calculate f of negative 3. That's going to be negative 3 would be f of negative 3 equals negative here, and then negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3. So it's going to give me negative 9 minus 18. So it's going to be negative 27. So my vertex is, I know that I don't have much space here. It's going to be negative 3, comma, negative 27. And because it's a negative number, my leading coefficient is negative, my graph would be pointing down. So I'll have the maximum. Okay, so number 3 and 4 is your job to complete. So now you need to complete number 3 and 4. And you have to bring it back to me next class so that I can check your work. Thank you for watching, guys, and please keep continuing to work. Do not just hang out with your friends. So please complete 3 and 4 and then bring back this paper next class. Thank you.